3, 2, 1. G'day boys and girls, here we go again. Makita have released another new 40 volt battery to the system. First up we had the 4s and the 2.5s, then the 2 came along, and then we had the monster, the 5, but now we have the 8 amp hour. And because I know how much you guys love seeing tiny little impact drivers on massive batteries, there you go. Can't even fit it in shot. This is the new BL4080F Makita 40 volt max 8 amp hour battery, and that was my phone. As you can see, it is a monster. Up against the 5 amp hour, they're both the same length. The 8 amp hour is a bit higher, and it's also a bit wider in this area. That's because this battery runs on 18650s and this battery runs on 21700s. They both have 20 cells inside them. So this battery and this battery both run on 21700 cells. There's a lot of confusion about this amongst a lot of people. Whereas these three, the 5 amp hour, the 2.5 and the 2, all have 18650 cells. That's the equivalent to a 4 amp hour 18 volt Makita battery, a 5 amp hour 18 volt Makita battery. This is the equivalent of 16 amp hours if it was an 8 amp hour battery. So the closest to this now is the DeWalt 15 amp hour 18 volt battery. Well, they call it flex volt to try and sort of trick you into thinking it's a 54 volt or 60 volt. You've got to divide all those amp hour numbers by 3 to get the actual flex volt number. Anyway, we're not here to talk about DeWalt, we're here to look at this massive thing. How heavy is it? I'm going to weigh all the batteries here in quick succession. I will say the numbers in grams. I haven't got time to do it all in pounds, so let's go. 2 amp hour, we have 695 grams. 2.5 amp hour, we have 717 grams. 4 amp hour, we have just over a kg, 1014 grams. Now this one, we're starting to get big now, 1.3 kgs, and the 8 amp hour, which is effectively 2 of these 4 amp hours stacked on top of each other and just configured a bit nicer to make it a little bit smaller. So 2 of those is just over 2 kgs, so I'm expecting this to be just under 2 kgs. 1.86 kgs, 1862 grams. That's one heavy battery. Let's compare it to the Milwaukee 12 amp hour. This is the equivalent of a 6 amp hour 40 volt battery, if there was such a thing. That weighs in at 1.55 kgs. If we look at the size difference between the new 8 amp hour Makita and the 12 amp hour Milwaukee, they're the same width basically, the same length, and the Makita is just a little bit higher because this has an extra row of 5 batteries in it compared to this. This is a 216 watt hour battery. This is a 288 watt hour battery, which is 4 of one of those. So how long does it take to charge? I haven't looked up any numbers on it, so I don't actually know what the official numbers are, so I'm going to test it myself. That's how I normally do things anyway, right? By comparison, I can't even remember what this was. This was around the 50 odd minute mark. One of these takes about 42 minutes. Makita I think say it's 45, but I've found it takes a couple of minutes less for most of them. The smallest one, that takes about 20-21 minutes. This takes between about 26 to 28. So how long is that going to be? If that's 20 minutes and that's 4 times the size, wow, you're looking at 80 minutes, presumably. Maybe. 10 minutes per amp hour? That's roughly what it goes at. So, let's take a look. If that's going to take an hour and 20 minutes-ish to charge. Oh, I better flatten it first. It's still not flat. I've been using it on this saw. Ooh. This new Makita 270mm saw, it's a beast, and they recommend it with one of these 2 batteries, the 5 or the 8 amp hour. So I'm going to test all of the batteries on it and just see if the RPM when not under load is the same, or whether it fluctuates quite highly between the 2 amp hour and the 8 amp hour. Whether these 2 batteries that have that little F in their name, remember, does that F mean that these 2 are going to go effing quicker? After it's charged, we'll do a few other tests, and I'll show you what it looks like on some of the different tools, and we'll see if it actually fits on all the other tools, because I know it doesn't fit on some of them, and it may shock you. It's taking a long time to flatten. I guess each one of those lights on the battery is the equivalent to an entire 2 amp hour Makita battery. Right, the battery is now reading 28.8 volts. She's fully flat. All those cells are empty. Let's now charge it up. But I'm not going to video the whole thing charging because it's going to be about an hour and 20 minutes or so. So what we will do is I'll just set it going on my phone here, and then we'll have a little chat while that's going. Put it on the charger in the back there. Set the timer. There's the second fan kicking in. I'll just periodically check in on it from time to time, and yeah, I'll let you know when it's done. But while we wait for that, get that out of the way, zoom this thing out a bit. A few weeks ago, StealthMounts sent me some of these. These are mounts for your 40 volt Makita batteries and 40 volt tools. Now they sent me more than I need, so I'm going to give some of them away to you guys. Sorry, there's a noisy charger somewhere going. So if you want some of these, what you need to do is leave me a comment. Say where you live, not your address. I've had people do that before. Don't give me too much details. Just tell me what country you live in and leave a comment, whatever comment you want. Make me laugh. You might get a bonus point. You might be slightly more likely to win this stuff. And in about a week's time, I will give it away to one of you guys and I'll ship it to you anywhere. If anybody asks you, says you may have won, send shipping money, send me your credit card details. That's not me. I won't do that. I will send it to you for free. So if you get any replies to your comments from scumbag scammers that seem to love these YouTube videos, then what you need to do is ignore it. So if it's a comment by me, my name will be highlighted. It'll say tools and stuff. There won't be anything else on there. There won't be any links to any other dodgy off-site things or other phone numbers or anything like that. It'll just say tools and stuff, and it'll be highlighted a different color. So that's me. If anybody else does it, it's not me. If you're wondering whether it is me or not, have a look down through the rest of the comments. If everybody's got the same dodgy reply saying that they've won, definitely dodgy. When these sort of things show up, I'll try and get onto it as quickly as possible. Hopefully they won't do it on this video because I haven't put it in the title of the video. So we'll see. Anyway, the winner for this will be announced. I'll chuck it over on my Instagram channel. It's probably the easiest way to do it. So you better go over and subscribe to that too. I'll put the link will be in the description for my Instagram channel, and it's on my channel in other places, and maybe I can put it up here. I don't know if it'll work up in the corner or not, but it's definitely going to be in the description. So that's that. Oh, and if you want like an extra chance to win one of those, I have more that I don't need. So if you go down there and you subscribe to my Patreon page, there's another chance to win another set. Okay, that'll be drawn in about a week as well. And you've got a better than 1 in 50 chance of winning it at the moment, so go check that out. And I might go play with this while I'm waiting for that battery to charge. Wow, that was much easier than I thought it was going to be. The solid blue light is on, so we're over the 80% mark, and we're at 1 hour and 1 minute. We're at 1 hour and 16 minutes. I will let it run now, I think. Can't be too much longer, hopefully. Only got 17 minutes left on this card, so better not be too much longer. Oh, well, that turned out to be pretty good timing. Just about to walk away, and there we go. 1 hour and 17 minutes. So I guesstimated about 1 hour 20, so that wasn't too far off. Well, there we go, just a hair over 16 minutes. I'll now chuck it on the battery checker and we'll see how hot it is on the inside. Let's take a wee look-see. Showing up alright. So it's had 2 charges and it is completely flat. And how hot? 61 degrees Celsius. That's a lot cooler than we managed to get the battery on the planer the other day. Not this particular battery, a different one. 2.5 amp hour. So 142 Fahrenheit. Down to 26.1 volts. Now how does that compare to all the other 40 volt batteries? So we're going to do the 2, the 2.5, the 4 and the 5 in that order. I'm going to check the temperature first, then I'm going to run them until they're flat and then check the temperature again. First up we'll test the 2 amp hour, 16 degrees Celsius inside. Let's go. So the battery was on 16 before we started. Let's see how warm it is now after 6 minutes of running. Completely flat, and holy moly, are you kidding me? 75 degrees Celsius in there. Holy shit. Let's now do the 2.5. Come on. Right, 17. 72. Jeez, they're warm, eh? 4 amp hour. Temperature check. Fully charged. 19 degrees. Let's go. Just come off the blower. Is this one going to be significantly cooler due to 21700 cells? Let's take a look. Still showing 1 bar on the battery like the last one. 74 degrees, so no cooler. Exactly the same. The first one was 75, second one was 72, this one's 74. So the 5 amp hour, we're starting at 19 degrees. Let's go. Right, this battery does not feel as hot as the previous ones. It's got twice as many cells, so they don't have to put out so much each. Let's have a look if we've kept this below 70 degrees. So the battery's completely drained. 51 degrees. So that's a significant difference. Now I imagine you're wondering why a 5 amp hour battery ran for 16.5 minutes, whereas an 8 amp hour battery only ran for 16 minutes. I was scratching my head with that for about 30 seconds or so as well, until I remembered these tests you've just seen, the 2, 2.5, 4 and 5 amp hour, weren't done on the turbo mode. I thought I'd done them on the turbo mode, but apparently not. Whereas the 8 amp hour one I did do on the turbo mode. So 27 minutes is a bit more like it, isn't it? And it kept a lot cooler at 48 degrees Celsius. Once it's finished charging up again, we'll see if there's any power difference on the big 270mm HS011G circular saw here. I'll go through every battery and we'll just check the RPMs. Okay, so while I was waiting for those batteries to charge up, I tried some of these other ones, and unfortunately, no matter which ones I did, 2.5, 4, 5, they all read the same. So this particular tool is clever enough to keep the RPMs the same no matter what battery you put on it, which is good when you're using it, but not so great when you're trying to test battery differences. So we might jump onto the impact driver. Drive some screws with each battery with this, the new TD002G, and see if there's any differences there. Eh? This is 125mm thick, or 5 inches, and the screws I'm using are 120mm long, or 4 3/4 inches. Okay, so the 8 amp hour had a slight edge, but it wasn't that conclusive, being that the tests are pretty damn quick when you're using an impact driver, right? So here's something that's a little bit longer and a little bit more conclusive. Underload is when this battery really shines, along with the 5 amp hour. Both of these batteries have that F in their name, as you know, and they do give you a boost when you're using high drain devices. I've noticed this is much nicer on the miter saw than other batteries, and the big 270mm saw you saw, and the planer and grinders Just a bit more guts with this and this than you get with the other batteries, but even that over that, this is a big improvement. It is, however, quite big and chunky, and is it going to fit on everything? Obviously it's going to be a struggle in some tools. Fits okay, yeah, it'll work, but oh, not even close. I just went looking for this router in my router drawer and found that it was actually on my wife's bench. So it looks like I've been relegated to the 18V LXT version. It fits on the 185mm saws, no problem, and of course the big 270 that you saw. But what about the smaller circ saws? Now this battery would be rather ridiculous on these two small saws in the background. The whole point of these tools is to keep them nice and light, right? So you're unlikely to want to put that battery on there anyway, and just as well because Makita won't let you. Battery only goes on 3/4 of the way. And it's the same for both tools. This one you'd only be able to cut a few millimeters anyway because the battery would be pushing your base down so far, but look, won't go on. Even if you could, you'd only get about 30mm cut, which isn't a lot of use, is it? And yeah, makes the tool somewhat uncomfortable, but you can't even get them on there anyway. So why is that? If we take a closer look here, you can see this is quite thin, and this is much thicker. Not only that, this has two little square pieces of plastic here. This one does not. Now those two little square bits of plastic crash on a square bit of plastic that's inside both of these tools that the other tools I have so far that I've tried don't have. Pieces of plastic I'm referring to are these little bits on the side down here. A lot of tools have them, but they're on like a 45-degree angle. This one has a square one on it, and that is what is stopping your battery. But as somebody said in the comments the other day, that's more of a speed bump than a stop sign. But I'm not going to be modifying my batteries or tools anytime soon. I don't need to put this battery on there, so I'm not going to be messing with anything. But yeah, just thought I'd let you know that. Finally, what does it look like next to some other battery brands? Thanks for watching, everybody. That is the new Makita 8Ah battery. If you're into the Makita 40V platform, take a look down in the description. There's heaps of reviews I've done for so many different sorts of tools, grinders, augers, saws, radios, everything you can think of just about that's been released on the 40V line. Take a look down there. I've done reviews on them. And I'll see you on another one of those reviews in a few days' time. So until then, have a good one, and I'll see you later.